So, Jessica, we're up to like the mid 70s now, and I understand you had an interesting incident occurrence in 1977.
I was working for Suma, Walter King, and Howard Hughes, they owned about 5 hotels. It was really the first time a real conglomerate thing happened in Vegas. And so I was in the lounge, at the Copa Lounge at the Sands, Jessica and Fantasy. And so I had, I was in the paper all the time. They had PR people, and it was really a good time in my life. And this man just used to come in to hear me once in a while, and he was real nice, and he said, "Do you want to go see Bill Cosby on your night off?" And I said, "Sure." So we went to the Hilton. I met him there. And we watched the show, and then after the show, he said, "Let's go in the dressing room and meet him." I said, "Oh, I'd love to." So I went into the dressing room, and there were some people in there, and everyone was, talking and having a good time, and I was sitting on a couch, and slowly people started to leave. And then it was just the man that brought me, and I kept looking at him like, well, isn't it time to, it seems like it's time to leave.
The man who brought you, and who else?
And Cosby.
Okay.
So anyway, I kept looking at him like for a sign, and he said, "Oh, I'll be right back," and he left me alone in there. At the time, I really didn't. It was Bill Cosby. I didn't think anything of it, and I never told this to anyone until these women came out a couple years ago. I think it was 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I never told anyone this. Not even my mom. I never told anyone this until a few years ago. So he kept wanting me to take this wine, and I said, I don't drink, because I had a glass of Perrier and lime, which I had been drinking, and I said, I don't know. And he said, "Oh, you'll like this. It doesn't taste like alcohol." And he just kept, and I didn't think anything of it at the time. He was just, because a lot of people tried to push alcohol on me. I always thought it was like a social thing. It's like, well, if I'm drinking, you're drinking. When you go out with the girls and they're drinking, they're like, "Jessica, why aren't you drinking?" And they never used to leave me alone. "Why aren't you drinking?" So I didn't think anything of it at the time, but thank God, I didn't take the drink. And now he's sitting next to me, and he puts his hand on my leg, and he said, "Let's get this party started. Let's move it over to the other couch." And I just was a bit frozen. This is Mr. Bill Cosby. You're very intimidated when you're in your 20s. You're young. And when something like that happens to you, and it did happen to me when I was in hair, the agent that got me the job, I went through this with him. And you either start crying, you freeze, or you run. Your instincts kick in. So what I did was, I thought I would be funny or be amusing and distract him. And I said, "Oh," and I took his hand away from my leg, and I just held his hand. I said, "You must be mistaken. You must think I'm a hooker. I'm a singer. I'm at the Sands Hotel. My name is on the marquee. I'm one of your peers." And I don't quite remember if he said anything, but I know I went for the door, and it was locked. And so now I'm banging on the door. I don't remember I don't remember what happened or how I got out, but there was a bodyguard outside the door, and I did get out. I don't remember how, and I don't even remember going home, and I don't even remember anything for about, 24 hours. I was just in shock. And I never told anyone because nothing happened, and I figured I was the only one. I didn't know. I thought, okay, I just was young. He probably thought, But every time I saw him on the Cosby Show or the Jell-O commercials, I would think, oh,
yeah,
nice man.
That's scary. I mean, first of all, I don't know how many people on this planet ever met Manson and Cosby. I had an incident with Cosby.
I guess I never really thought about it that way.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I know it's not one of the fun things of your career. Thank you.
Sure.